All right, it's gonna be scary tonight, so only the brave. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. My name's Rachel Savage, and I'm coming to you live from Seattle, from Rebel Saints Meditation Society. We're here in the Capitol Hill neighborhood, just right up from downtown Seattle. Some of you guys are from the neighborhood, and some of y'all are from other places. So welcome. Just giving you an idea of what's going on up here. It's cold. It's starting to get cold. So I'll offer a talk tonight, and then I'll guide us in a death meditation. That's what we're doing tonight, death meditation. And then we'll have some time to discuss the practice afterwards. So I'm glad you're here. So this particular meditation that we'll do tonight, it's called the death meditation, or reflecting, it's mindfulness of the corpse. And I thought it was fun to do right before Halloween. Why not? But a lot of Buddhists, meditators, practitioners do this meditation all the time, daily. In fact, I'm sitting a retreat right now. It's like a home retreat. I was supposed to be on a retreat, a residential retreat. It had to be at home because of COVID. So I'm on a home retreat with Bhikkhu Nalio, and he's a monk that's quite a scholar. He's amazing. Anyway, this is his favorite meditation. Mindfulness of the corpse and decay, or death meditation. In fact, he said the other day, it's his number one, and he actually sleeps in a coffin. That's how much he he digs the meditation. Of course, my first thought was, is it one of those coffins that have like the silk pillow and or is it just a plain pine box, or is it a pine box shaped like a coffin? Anyway, is it the Kiss edition coffin? So I don't know. I didn't get to see it. Number one, favorite meditation. This is a guy who's a scholar, who's written commentaries on the Satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness. He's done comparative studies. He's amazing, and this is his number one meditation. So this meditation falls in the first foundation of mindfulness of the body. So there's some different sections in the mindfulness of the body meditation. First is the breath, the postures, activities, movement, and then we go into the parts of the body, the elements of the body, and finally this corpse meditation. And these practices of mindfulness of the body, remembering that mindfulness is a present time, non-judgmental, investigative, kind awareness of what's happening in the moment to moment, what's happening in our experience. And the first foundation of mindfulness has to do with the body and being aware, having a felt sense of what's happening in our body. And, a lot of us don't like that. We don't want to do it. It can be painful, right? Because our bodies are painful. We have a nervous system. It can be uncomfortable. We don't like to be uncomfortable. We're creatures that look for comfort. Especially, I definitely do. Love to be comfortable. And so a lot of us, and you can check and see if this is your experience, either spend a lot of time in our mind and our head, kind of living from the neck up, or we're just checking out of our body as often and as much as we possibly can. So this practice of mindfulness of the body brings us to experience of living in this human body. And it is uncomfortable. And then we learn how to relate to our body with the pleasure it gives us, with the pain that it gives us, and all that it has to tell us as well about our experience. So why death? Why, I mean, especially in the Western world, I know in the good old USA, we don't like to think about death. We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to think about it. We hide it away. We clean it up. We make it look all pretty. There definitely aren't burning bodies down by the river over here. In India, it's still a way of life. It's still part of everyday life. The dead bodies are seen. They're taken down and they're burned outside. So we do it differently here. And I think there's a lot of fear about death. We're uncomfortable. It's not part of our daily life, our daily conversation necessarily. And so this practice, part of it is we get real about our body, the actual nature of our body. So Dharma, one of the three jewels, is the truth. We actually are practicing to take refuge in the truth of the way things are. And the truth is, we have a body that is in a state of decay. We're aging, all of us. And as the years go on, as time goes on, we get closer and closer to our death. We don't know when it's going to happen. That's the other crazy thing, right? Here we are, we're just rolling along. We know we're going to die somewhere in our mind, and but we don't know when. Who invented this crazy video game? I mean, no one gets out alive. We all know we're going to die on some level. It's true, but we don't know when. So why would we reflect on this? Why would we spend our time turning toward this and thinking about it and imagining our body at the time of death and then beyond? So there's 3 points that I'll make tonight about that. There's many reasons, I think, but I'll focus on 3 tonight. And the first one is that the contemplation of death, the reality of death, it helps us to be motivated to practice. So when we think about that we might not have much time, or we don't know how much time we have, that death is going to happen at some point, if we get complacent, if we reach a plateau, a lot of you guys have been practicing for some time, and when the newness wears off, sometimes we get bored with the practice, the same thing, paying attention to reality, our body, our breath, our mind, what's happening. I think, what, we're doing this meditation again? I remember thinking that early on. Yes. So we sometimes can hit plateaus in our practice, or the newness wears off, we get bored, we get discouraged, maybe we get life gets really good sometimes when we've been practicing for a while. And so I think, I don't need that anymore. I'm, enjoying life, having some pleasure. And so this reflection on death can help us to motivate us in our practice. One of the things in particular that it can help us do is finish unfinished business that we have. So many of us in this community, in Rebel Saints community and beyond the greater Sangha, we've been doing a 30-day forgiveness challenge, and we're almost at the end. This is our third year. We do it every October. We meditate every day on forgiveness for 30 days in a row. And this death contemplation can encourage us to do that, to do practice like that. Do we really want to die with resentment? And sometimes, we don't want to do the forgiveness practice. It's not always a pleasant practice to do. It can be painful. It can bring up painful memories. Sometimes we want to avoid that. It's great work to do. I think forgiveness practice is very important, super valuable, and it's worth the pain that we have to face because the freedom on the other side of it is so sweet. But when we consider the death, do we want to die with resentments? Or do we want to practice as much forgiveness as we can so when it's time to let go, we can just go without any hatred, without holding on to any hatred in our heart? The other business we may have is the business of letting people know how much we appreciate them. So in my teacher, Noah Levine, his dad wrote a book called A Year to Live, and it's a practice of living as if we had a diagnosis that we were going to die in a year's time. And so this intentional thinking of death all the time for a whole year. And part of the practice that he recommends is not only making amends, but also letting people know how much we appreciate them, how much they've helped us, how much they've inspired us, all that stuff. And that's another thing, we don't want to die before we are able to tell people that. And sometimes we think, oh, we can tell them later. We don't know. We don't know if we can tell them later. So this reflection on death just kind of wakes us up to reality, to the way it actually is. Because normally we're just la, la, thinking we're going to live forever. And maybe on some level we know we're going to die some time, but do we really know? Because we act like we're going to live forever. Have we let our mortality touch us in a way, the knowing, in a way that makes us act differently, relate to life differently, relate to people differently? I was at this motivational speaker thing one time when I was working for this big company, and the guy was saying, treat everybody like they're going to die today. Everybody. That was his secret to success. And I still remember it. I thought, wow, what would that be like if we treated everyone we came into contact with as if this was the last day? So one of the other points and reasons to do this death contemplation is to help us appreciate our life, help us appreciate and enjoy our life. sometimes we can get on a real bummer trip because we live in this, reality. It has so much dukkha, so much difficulty. Dukkha is this word the Buddha uses for stress, uncertainty, difficulty, hassle, when everything just doesn't go right, problems that never seem to go away, or you fix one problem and then another one crops up. That's dukkha. And we can get really overwhelmed by it because it's constantly happening in our life. It's one of the definitions of dukkha is that which is hard to bear. Sound familiar? Is life hard to bear right now? We're still in COVID, we're running around with masks, everything's different. It's been hard for people to bear. So just the uncertainty of life can be hard to bear. So we can get it can get heavy, it can get hard. And this reflection on we don't know how much time we have can actually bring a lot of like, wow, man, I better enjoy it. Actually, some things aren't that bad. I have some stuff to feel grateful for. I have some great relationships. And I have, you know, whatever it is on your gratitude list. Sometimes we forget that in the midst of all the difficulty. A lot of people I know do like a daily gratitude just to remember, because there's part of the way our mind works. My teacher Noah talks about this a lot, how we easily remember what's difficult and what's painful, and we easily forget what's good, what feels good, pleasure. Our mind just doesn't remember it that much. So if we're not paying attention, the pleasant, the pleasurable, the things to be grateful for, we can just forget, or we just let it pass on by without noticing. Take it for granted. But man, the difficulty, we are on it. We remember, we dwell, we don't forget. So this contemplation of death, it can just like, wow, my life's actually pretty damn good. I know it does that for me. And finally, the last point I'll make tonight about this reflection on death and reflecting on our corpse, the time of death and the corpse in decay. We're going to do this vivid visualization of that tonight. Is to help us cut our attachment and our clinging to our most precious possession, our body. Our body we love it. I mean, we kind of love it and hate it, don't we? But we love it. If we think about it, we protect our body above all else. If anyone threatens it, man, we are protecting it. Our body is our most important possession. And if we check, we cling to it. We grasp, we're attached to our damn body. I know I am. I mean, I don't always love the way it looks. I have there's some improvements that could be made. So my mind says. But we can even we can reflect when we think about this body becoming a corpse. Ooh, I don't want to think about my body becoming a corpse. Why? I want it to last. I want it to stay. I want to keep it. I'm attached to my body. It's the only one I have. I can't go get another one yet. And of course, taking care of our body, we need to do that for longevity. I, of course, obviously think it's totally fine to beautify the body and dress it up and put some earrings on. And the question always is, what is causing us to suffer? Is the attachment to our body, is the clinging to our body causing us suffering? Can we practice with a meditation like this, contemplating death, contemplating the corpse, the true nature of our body? Can it help us to loosen our grasp a little bit? This thing about taking refuge in the truth, the reality of the way things are, we can learn to live in harmony with reality. So what would our life look like? Would our life look any different if we related to our body in its true nature? That it's impermanent, that it's in a state of decay, and that ultimately I'm going to have to give it up. And reflecting, how much do I identify with our body? What do people think about our body? What do we think about our body? The comparing mind. Do you compare your body to other people's bodies? Does that make you suffer? Or do you compare your body to what it was like 20 years ago? Does that make you suffer? Do we judge our body? It should be this way, it should be that way. Not tall enough, not short enough, not this enough, not thin enough, not plump enough. I got curves in all the wrong places. And how much does that make us suffer when we judge our body? So some reflections for you to consider: where does your particular, with your relationship with your body, where does your suffering come up? And what would happen if we could loosen the grasp, lessen the attachment? What would our life look like if we lived in the shadow of death? So this meditation is um, a kind of a visualization meditation. So we're practicing mindfulness, present time, non-judgmental awareness, but we're actually kind of doing this visualization practice at the same time. So we're imagining being mindful of our at the time of our death, which we can be mindful of, and then beyond. So that then we bring in some imagination. My first teacher used to call it correct imagination. This imagination that leads to liberation, that leads to freedom, that leads to wisdom. And so for some of you, you're going to dig it, right? Some of you like to do visualization meditations and it's fun and it's like, a little vacation, even if it is in the graveyard. And for some of us, we don't like the visualization meditation. Like, eh. So I just invite you either way, just try to have some fun with it tonight. It's almost Halloween. Let's go for it. And just let yourself relax and have fun. Just be led through this meditation. And we're imagining with mindfulness this corpse and decay. And then also, as we're doing the meditation, noticing what's happening in your body as well. Keeping with this present time awareness as much as you can throughout the process. All right, let's do this. Now, tonight, if you want, you can either stay seated, or if you want, you can lay down, because you're going to be dead soon. So I'll give you a few minutes. If you want to lay down, go for it. So find your posture, whether it's sitting or lying down. And tonight I'm going to read you the corpse meditation from the book Refuge Recovery. So if you want to go back and check it out later, you can. It's a good one. So find your posture, and we'll begin with the bell. And wherever you are, whether you're seated or lying down, just gently close your eyes. And bring your attention into your body, feeling the contact points of your sitting or lying down, just where your body is connecting. The pressure. Let yourself relax here. Release any tension you might be holding. And practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is present time awareness that's open, receptive. And bring awareness to your body breathing. Spend a few minutes here in the beginning. Mindfulness of breathing. Keeping your attention, your mindfulness, either at nose or belly, wherever you feel the breath coming and going most easily tonight. At any point in the meditation, you can always return to your breathing. If you need to rest in the breath, and then when you feel ready, return to the contemplation, to the visualization. And just remember that you're always in control of your practice. So now that you're in your meditation posture, whether you're lying down or sitting, imagine your time of death has come. Begin to imagine or visualize your body as a corpse. See your body as motionless and inanimate. Acknowledge that this is the inevitable destiny of the body. And breathe in and out of the place of acceptance of death. Now, now begin to see your body as dead for several days, bloated and beginning to rot. Imagine your body as lifeless and in an advanced state of decomposition. Allow your imagination to be as graphic as you'd like. Worms eating your flesh, maggots, and so on. Then move on to seeing your body as a skeleton. All the flesh and bone, all the flesh and blood gone. Bones and ligaments alone remaining. Now imagine the bones are beginning to crumble, eventually falling apart and scattering until finally only dust remains. After some time, allow the reflection to end and return to mindfulness of your breath and body in the present moment. And this meditation is meant to bring appreciation and preciousness to life. By acknowledging death and decay, we remember the importance of each moment of life. This mindfulness of the breath and body noticing the sensations that are present now. And continue until you hear the sound of the bell.